All right, thank you so much. Well, good day, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedules to spend some time with your CUR community today to talk about strong awards applications. We know it's one of many things you do for yourself to support your colleagues and the students you mentor. So we are thrilled to have you with us today. And with that, Todd, can you take us to the next slide? So just a little bit of housekeeping here so you know the flow of today's presentation. I'm going to take the wonderful opportunity to introduce you today to those joining us to present some of their experience and their perspective about not only CUR awards, but awards programs in general and their experience both applying for awards, receiving awards, and working in the back end as reviewers for awards, what they're looking for, and to give us some perspective. I'm going to share a bit of an overview of the CUR Awards program. So if you don't know about all of our awards, we'll give you a heads up. Our community here today will, again, share their experience, and then we will open the floor for Q&A. So please do post your questions in the chat. We will get to them at the end, or you can also send them directly to Todd or I, and we will make sure we get those covered. And Todd, if you could get to the next slide, please. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce to you today those that will be sharing their experience and expertise with the community. First up is Joyce Kincaid. She is a CUR Fellow, one of our prestigious awards, and currently serves as the chair of the CUR's Fellow Selection Committee. We have Ruth Palmer, no longer immediate past president, but president emeritus of CUR. Sylvia Ronco, also a president emeritus of CUR. She's also the inspiration for the CUR Sylvia Ronco Innovative Mentor Award and a former member of the Aura Awards and CUR Fellow Review Committees. And then we have Corinne. Oh, Corinne, I'm so sorry. I'm going to do my best here. Warzinski,
Got
maybe?
it.
Not bad? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. A longtime CUR volunteer and a former member of the CUR Goldwater Faculty Mentor Awards Committees. And our next slide, Todd. Thank you. So CUR offers, it is on a later slide, dozens and dozens of awards, but they really fall into two buckets, which don't mean very much to you externally, but important to give you a little bit of a background. CUR has really been lucky with some amazing former volunteers or current volunteers, friends of the community, association partners that have gifted us with some funds to start and support awards programs. These are endowed and organizational wide awards. So those partners worked with us to cultivate specific awards programs to support the undergraduate and faculty communities focused on undergraduate research. And those awards, again, are CUR-wide awards. They come with some requirements from the gift giver. So sometimes those criteria are not always up for change or suggestion. So just, some background for you, but the CUR Aura Award, this is our most prestigious organizational award. We give one, two or three each year, depending upon the applications that come in, and they are aligned with the characteristics of excellence in undergraduate research. Those are the criteria for that award, and they are to recognize excellence in undergraduate research at the campus and university level. We have the CUR Fellows Award for Excellence in Undergraduate Research Leadership, and that is our highest individual award. Applications are currently still open for this awards program, so you can consider that. We have the CUR Goldwater Scholars Faculty Mentor Award, which is a partnership with the Goldwater Foundation, and that is excellence in undergraduate research for those that are mentoring Goldwater scholars. We have the Arts and Humanities Faculty Mentor Award, and Joyce was one of the wonderful supporters and creators of this award, and it is to recognize excellence in faculty mentoring in the arts and humanities. We have the Trimmer Travel Fund. This was a gift from Joe Trimmer, a longtime CUR volunteer and champion of arts and humanities undergraduate research. And this is to fund student travel to present at conferences. And then we have the Sylvia Ronco Innovative Mentor Award, which was a gift from Research Corp to celebrate the excellence of Sylvia's dedication to the undergraduate research community. And it is about innovation in the world of chemistry and the faculty members that lead undergraduate research experiences for their students. Next slide, Todd. And then we have CUR Divisional Awards. We have more than 20 divisional awards. Our divisions are really the heart and soul of CUR, and they each have wonderful leadership, elected leadership, volunteer positions, and those leaders evaluate each year what the disciplines and the positions that they support and serve need as recognition. And so last year we gave out nearly 70 divisional awards. They are sprinkled throughout the year. So there is a landing page on the CUR website. I know Todd just put that in the chat. So do pay attention to our e-newsletter and our website where we share the deadlines for those awards. And those are run, again, by those volunteer committees. They have review committees that do them, and it's everything from students to faculty at all levels that are recognized through those divisional awards, but really focusing on supporting excellence in undergraduate research. And then I think that's it for our slides, and I have the pleasure of passing the rest of this conversation off to our moderator, Ruth Palmer.
You're muted.
Ruth, you are still muted, Ruth.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Lindsay, for that introduction. And welcome everyone participating in this important presentation here. And more so because we have present among us, members of CUR who can speak directly to you about the particular awards, in which they are involved. So probably what I need to do at this very beginning is to ask the panel members to take their turn to make any special comments that you would want to. And let's begin with Sylvia, and then to Joyce, and then to Corinne.
Okay, thanks, Ruth. I'm Sylvia Ronco. I'm a senior program director at the Research Corporation, which is a private foundation that supports the sciences, the physical sciences. So throughout this webinar, maybe you'll see my reflections are towards, my job dealing with reviewers and awards and grants. And so I would say that these awards, especially the national awards, are hugely beneficial for institutions, for the individuals, and also for the whole CUR community, because it's a great opportunity to celebrate accomplishments and learn from each other. So I will leave it like that there now, and then pass it on to Joyce, you said?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Joyce Kincaid, and I am a CUR Fellow, and I chair the selection committee for CUR Fellows. This is the highest honor that CUR endows on an individual, as Lindsay noted. It should be that the applicants reflect a trajectory of increased leadership throughout their career. Think about this as a senior award for folks. And that we're looking, which we do a rubric for that addresses the qualifications for the CUR Fellow. And so it's important that each application kind of ticks off each box in there, because we're giving a rating to make sure we're fair in doing all that. But think about having one award on your own campus, having one award through the various divisions, and that this is really a ladder process until you ascend to the CUR Fellow level. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. And Corinne.
Corrine. Yeah.
Corinne, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Corrine Wierzinski. I'm the Assistant Dean for Academic Initiatives at Michigan State University. I was a CUR counselor for 6 years in the URPD division, and I was on the CUR Goldwater Mentor Selection Committee. A lot of my comments will talk about being at a larger institution. When you're at a larger institution, it can be more difficult to gather some of the materials, both for the Mentor Award or for something like the Aura Award, but it is possible. And so my comments today and the questions that I could probably be most helpful with is trying to develop helpful mechanisms on your larger campuses, especially if you're decentralized, on collecting some of this information so you can put forward these awards.
Okay, thanks much. To the audience participating this afternoon, you have heard the 3 major people on the panel. So what we can do at this point is go to your questions. I think the invitation was to put your questions in the chat, and Todd will pick them up. So we are open for your questions. Todd, do we have any of those immediately?
Nothing in the chat yet. You can also feel free to unmute yourself and just ask your question. Or if you want to raise your hand,
one that has come in.
Motion.
Lindsay has one. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you for sending those questions along. Questions about right, how do you interpret the calls and then personalize your application to the call, right? How much personalization, right? Cultivating a specifically crafted CV and that sort of thing, do these committees expect for applications, or as you as reviewers, do you expect for these applications?
Okay. Sylvia, Joyce, Corinne.
Yeah, sure, I can start.
Okay.
So that is a great and complex question, right? That pretty much includes everything, all the aspects we want to discuss today. But I would say let's start on how to read the call for nominations and how to see if you're award ready, right? So I think it's a great opportunity for, let's say, I can reflect a little bit on the award that on my name is for young faculty members in chemistry. It's a really great idea for young faculty to try to gauge their award readiness. And so when you have a call for nominations out, you need to be really careful about trying to match what the award wants and what you want to reflect. I think it's really important to take a look at your materials. All the materials need to be aligned with the call. So your bio needs to show those aspects, highlight those aspects that are highlighted in the call. The same with, let's say, the letters of support. You need to work with your the writers for your letters that will provide additional information. So it is really, really important to keep in mind what you want to convey. What is the message you want the reviewers to see when you put all those pieces together? So I'll pass it on to my colleagues to expand on that.
Just let me summarize what you said. I'm ready to call you Lindsay, but Sylvia, for the audience, read the call. So I think that's what you say. Pay attention to the call. Read those carefully, follow the instructions, and ensure that the portfolio that you submit aligns with those two. So if so they're suggesting that you take those steps, and if you ensure that you align your application to the call and what's expected, then you become a good competitor. Let me ask if Joyce and or Corinne have anything to add to that, please.
Well, I want to address Ashley's question that's in the
Yeah.
chat. And she's talking about, should we inundate her with a lot of nominations from a single application? Well, often these are not going to cross different awards. So I'd say just go for it, because those committees are all different. They're not going to see your nominations. So how great that is that your institution is out there and wanting to put its people forward. Because we know that so often faculty don't get the awards that they just, the recognition that they deserve. And so an award can often be really nice when there's perhaps not time or money that goes to the faculty. So as an administrator, I always try to put as many faculty forward for awards as I possibly could. So great work, Ashley.
The only thing I would add is be careful not to add laundry lists, right? Be careful that each person or program that applies have a main, area to highlight, right? So because sometimes there is information overload in applications, and the reviewers really want to see clearly what is that each program is highlighting or, is deserving of an award. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to add something just to the first question before we move to the next one. The other part is, while these award applications are divided out over multiple application committees, make sure that the application that you put forward for the candidate is polished and is easy to digest, meaning that this is not going to be the only application the review committee is reviewing. They could be reviewing 10, 15, maybe even 30 applications. So skimming with a purpose, like if I have to work really hard to figure out, did you answer the prompts? Your likelihood of your packet getting selected to move forward to the next phase decreases because it just isn't a well-organized application. So Ruth talked about make sure you answer the questions, make sure the application is organized and easy to read.
Okay.
And actually, I have a follow-up to that. From the point of view of reviewers, I totally agree with Corinne. Reviewers make up their minds very quickly. Sometimes they review a lot of stuff. They review awards, they review proposals, they review publications, right? So put the care that you use for your grant proposals or your journal submissions in the award application. So prepare the materials, proof it, make sure that your message is clear, because people will read the first pages of your application and decide whether or not they're interesting. People like clean and exciting. So those are two things that any award application should convey, right?
Good. Let me add one thing, if I can. One of the things I think my approach to competition is that set yourself up to win. That what you are doing is you are seeking to win. Now, you may not get the prize, but someone will never forget your application. So let's put it that way. So enter it with a very positive attitude, do the work, and establish yourself as a keen competitor. That would be my recommendation. Any other question, Todd?
Well, there is a question about the Aura application.
Okay.
Okay. My immediate response is to read the press releases about those who win, because that's going to detail what those institutions have done in order to rise to the top of the Aura Award. But there are folks on the panel who have sat on that selection committee who can be more helpful.
Okay.
I would share for the Aura applications, data over a considerable period of time is really critical for those applications. So being able to tell the story and have the numbers to support that. It's not just a large institution automatically get selected because they will have more numbers, right? It's the percentage, the buy-in those on your campus. So each is evaluated for the size and scope of their institution. So telling the impact and the story of your institution supported by long-term data is really valuable in those applications.
Okay. Lindsay,
And
that was...
I could say be critical with yourself too, and look around. Look at your peer institutions. What are you doing versus what the others are doing? And just keep in mind the words above and beyond. So we try to be above and beyond in some aspects that will bring you to the top. So what is that? What is the uniqueness that your program offers, right? Mm-hmm.
As Alison in the chat has asked, what sort of activities help the institution rise to the top? The initial letter of intent is only 750 words, and she's wondering what would really strengthen it. Any one of the panelists can take that one.
I think Corinne's trying to come off mute, so I'll let her go first.
Go ahead.
Just emphasizing what Lindsay said, like I've applied to the award and I've never won it, but we were a finalist. And I will say the letter is the easy part. It's the collecting the data and figuring out of the 10 characteristics. If you haven't looked at the core document, yes, there are 10 characteristics, and each characteristics has anywhere from 3 to 8 sub characteristics. So choose carefully, choose ones that are best for you. Meaning that at a large research institution, it's hard sometimes to gauge impact, but there are areas where I have the data and I can show where we have made a difference. So your application may look very different than another institution in your state or the neighboring state, and that's okay. Like every undergraduate research program has some similarities, but there's also some differences because of institutional culture and institutional organization and the size of the institution. So read core carefully, choose the 5 characteristics that you think you best demonstrate, and then just work really hard to provide the data that can show that impact that particular characteristic discusses.
Okay.
I would like to add that it is really hard to advocate for yourself. And this is not only unique for Aura, but for any award, and especially for younger faculty who are not used to the competition that entails to be a faculty member in many different ways. So especially women and underrepresented minorities, it's known that they don't like to advocate for themselves, but this is a great opportunity to do it, right? Learn to do it and try to identify the aspects that are so important, right? And eliminate the ones that perhaps you have data, but it's kind of little noise. So concentrate on what you really think is really important and distinguishes yourself. Mm-hmm.
I just want to add really quick, like when my institution applied for Aura, we moved on to the final stage. We weren't selected, but the fact that we moved on to the final stage, I kind of downplayed that to the vice provost who I report for, and he's like, no. The fact that you're in the finalist group, I'm going to make sure that the provost and the vice president for research and innovation knows that your office was in the finalist group. And I thought, oh yeah, I never thought about sharing that. So it's important to apply for awards, and even if you don't get it, the fact that you were nominated or if you advanced are important data points or points of pride that your supervisor or a senior administrator at your institution should be aware of.
Corinne, thanks. Oh, go ahead, Ruth.
No, I was just going to emphasize Corinne's statement that not winning is not losing. Right. So I just wanted to emphasize that. But you get into the competition, and with practice, never stop applying. So because with practice, you get better. So, and you get the privilege of being acknowledged by your institution. So go ahead.
Yeah, the follow-up question to where Corinne was going that had come in was like, to whom and how do you share if you're awardee, but even maybe if you are just a nominee, if you were a finalist, right? So do you have any recommendations for the community about how they share, with whom, where, is it just in your tenure and promotion packet? Is it on social media? Do you tell your PR office? Do you have some recommendations for the community here?
And it's also an opportunity for growth, really, right? Yeah, we all like to win, right? But first of all, most of the competitions are stellar competitions because people are putting their best packages, like let's say Nora. But it's also a good opportunity to use that as leverage for your own program, right? Talking with your colleagues, with your administrators, opportunities for growth. So just look at it. I agree with Ruth. I mean, if you're still eligible for the award that you're applying, next time, try again, and try to sharpen the focus of your application.
I would say if you're a faculty member, definitely put it in your tenure and promotion materials or annual review materials, especially if CUR will write a letter just acknowledging, hey, you were a finalist, blah, blah, blah. Like that's an important piece of evidence. From the administrative side, you never want to miss an opportunity to brag about the good things that your undergraduate research office is doing, because so many people in CUR do amazing work. And it's just kind of like, oh, shucks, like that's what we do. No, like you have to make sure you bring attention to this work. So your supervisor, if your campus has a communications group, share that bit with them. I made sure, like I report to a vice provost for undergraduate education. He made sure all the senior administrators knew that our office was a finalist for an award. So just look at an organizational chart. And if you don't know, talk to a colleague who is in another department and say, who would you recommend that I talk to? Because sometimes it's hard when you're in a division to see inside your division of where to go, and a colleague in another division might have another perspective of who you could also share the good news with.
So I'm going to put in a plug for a book that I did for CUR on communication and marketing and fundraising. So these bragging stories, to me, are worth gold to an institution. So definitely it's at your unit level, your college level, your institutional level. And then the university or college is going to want to put this story out that you're a winner to the community. And it also probably is going to be influential for legislators, particularly for those of us who are at public institutions. And it can be influential for donors as well. So we need to think it's not just about us. What we're doing is important at the institutional level because it helps their brand. Okay. And it speaks volumes to the importance of undergraduate education at any of our institutions. And that can be particularly true at, let's say, a research university, where it seems perhaps graduate education is more important. But at my institution, Utah State University, undergraduate research we're celebrating 50 years this year. And it's been hugely important for us. So never pass up an opportunity to brag, even if you're feeling humble.
And also keep in mind that the annual winners probably apply more than once too. So because people learn from that, people learn from applying and not being awarded, and they look around, what are the awardees and what are the accomplishments, and they try again. So it's a competitive process.
Yeah. Okay.
So several of the awards ask for recommendations or some sort of feedback, either from a colleague, a dean, a former student. Is there strategies to how to approach people when needing to get their recommendation for your application?
I always have an opinion, so I'll jump in here. Whether it's a letter of recommendation, a student is asking for a faculty member, or if you're asking another faculty member to write a letter of rec for a colleague who is going up for one of these awards, it's always helpful to send along a cheat sheet, meaning that make sure you have a page or a link that goes to the award criteria. And then I always like to summarize, like, you think this person should apply for this award, or you're putting them up for this award. write out a 1-pager, 3/4 pager that's bulleted that lists some of those key points. That helps the letter writer kind of get started, and they will have other stories, examples, evidence to share. But when you provide those two pieces, here's the award, here are some points I think you should highlight, it really makes that letter of recommendation a little more manageable. So that would just be one piece of advice for helping to get those letters of references or support in.
Oh, excellent.
I would say yes, all of that. And also, people who are writing letters for you need to know you. They need to know your program, because what you don't want is to have a letter that's summarizing your bio or summarizing your essay or what you already said. All the pieces need to provide additional information in an award. So if you keep repeating yourself, you're kind of going in circles. So it's much more impactful to have a letter that shows that the person who's writing knows you. Because honestly, I know that sometimes people write their own letters of support and then they send them. I've been in that game before, when people ask me to write a letter and they send me a letter. But those are not the best letters. The best letters are when you write from the knowledge of let's say, the program for the aura, or some, a young faculty who's doing outstanding research. And keep in mind, all the pieces, as I said, in an application package need to be complementary. So overall, we have a good picture of what is the uniqueness of this application.
Yeah. Thanks, Sylvia. Thanks, Corinne, sorry. There was, in an earlier question, I think we were talking about, who gets on your brag sheet once you either win or get at least acknowledged. I remember being on the faculty senate, and I think that sometimes we forget the faculty senate because that's the pipeline to the board. That's the pipeline that your name travels up through your faculty representative. That was a role I totally enjoyed because it's such a significant thing to be able to be your faculty representative to the Board of Trustees. It gives conversation for what you have kindly and gently with board members that you get to meet along the way. So I would say really explore those areas where your information, your achievement, your success, and or your effort can become part of the public knowledge on your campus and across other campuses as well. I've been looking at the chat. I'm not sure there is any other comments or questions that you'd like to add. Unmute yourself. I think Todd suggested earlier, unmute yourself and let your voice be heard.
I have one follow-up, if I could. So if you nominate a faculty member for one of these various mentor awards and they are not selected in that year, my inclination is to go again. But I've had some faculty say, no, you tried with me and that didn't work, so try with someone else. Just feedback from the committee on that and how I could potentially guide them.
My response to that is faculty or anyone, I mean, they don't like not to get an award. And I get that in, Research Corporation has some awards for faculty. And so then in our programs, and then you have to talk to them about the competitiveness of the award, the community you're competing with, let's say, right? So not only one person gets it, the community is sometimes stellar. Maybe there is another way to present your materials. One advice I always give to people is, in your bio, tailor your bio, right? In your bio, people need to see those elements that make your award ready first. If you just put a bunch of things and a lot of publications and presentations by students, and then at the end you put some things that you do like awards and honors or some work that is relevant for the committee, for the award. So then it's hard for the reviewer to find information. So try to minimize the noise. That's what it is. So clear, right to the point, highlight what is important for the award first. Sometimes I feel like people don't understand or don't take the time to understand exactly what is about, what you're awarding. So in the case of the chemistry award that Research Corp endowed on my name is innovation and mentorship. So those are big words, and kind of general words. So think carefully, what makes you an innovative, researcher, and what makes you an excellent mentor. Try to extract these pieces and make you different than the others, right? Like I said, you need to be above and beyond, because even if there are only 10 submissions for an award, those 10 will be pre-competitive, and we give only one, right?
Right.
So try again, don't get discouraged. I deal with much more with senior people sometimes in awards at Research Corporation, and everybody gets discouraged. I have a person that actually we gave an award last year that she's a member of the National Academies, and she thought that she was not worthy to resubmit because she had not been awarded the first time. And it's like, really? And she got it after that.
Can I just add to that, Sabir? Ashley, what I would also suggest is that there seems to be a role that's emerging for you in related to being a mentor now, to work alongside the applicants who may or may not have received the award, to be able to be that critical eye, either that you become the mentor or that you identify someone who can work alongside with them to do everything that Sylvia said, critique the work, sharpen this area, really have a competitive. I think that is also a place for anyone encouraging people to apply, to be able to say, okay, I know not winning is never a good thing to swallow, but reapplying requires courage. And if you can be courageous, you can win again. So that's another role there. Lindsay?
I would add, Ruth, Corrine mentioned earlier, right? And CUR is usually really excellent at doing this, is we share who the previous awardees are and look at them, right? I think usually that helps give some guidance as to what the review committee was looking for. The press releases that come out highlight the key components that the review committees really wanted to celebrate. So that might be a really great place to help customize those applications. As the person that sits behind the scenes, yes, many of our awardees are multiple years around applicants, right? And what we see is those that keep tweaking the application year over year, right? Really fine tune what the committee is looking for. Now, not all committees do this, but many will provide feedback if that's requested. Ask for it. Now, it's not always provided, but I think it's always worth an ask, right? Was there something missing? Is there any guidance that you could share? So many times the committee will share that. I will say sometimes we get 50 plus applications, and providing feedback on 50 applications would be unruly for the committees to do, but many times they do. So that's a really, use all of these benefits to your exam, to your benefit. Also talk to past awardees, right? Reach out to them. What did you put in your application? This community is so giving of their time and experience. So if you know somebody who won an award at Aura, or if you don't know, the staff of the national office would be happy to do introductions to you and past awardees that we could, help share and help further develop your application. So I think there's lots of ways out there. Some of it is personal work, but there's a lot of community support to help facilitate stronger applications year over year.
I'll ask the panel, is there any comment you want to make about divisional awards? We have been addressing national awards and other highly competitive ones. So I don't see any other questions. But if you have any questions that you want to raise about divisional awards, this might be a good time to do that. Or comments, if you don't have questions, comments about the awards themselves. Or panel, any other recommendations you have for, go ahead.
I'll mention something here, and this is about the awards. So for the CUR Fellows this last year, as I was sharing, we did tiered letters of response. And so it's an intense competition at that level. And so those people that we wanted to see a reapplication from, especially who were, right at the level, that letter said very strongly, you were so strong in your application. We hope to see that. And then for some others, we said, it's just not time yet for this senior level to do that.
Oh.
And I'm going to skip to something I did for my university was the Carnegie Professor nominations. And so I started that in the 1990s, and this award is not given any longer. It's by Carnegie Foundation and Case. But in 1995, I hit it, and so one of our history professors, I managed the award packet, kind of like what you're saying, Ashley, and is I managed that, and we had 13 Carnegie professors at our institution by the time they finished doing that, and it became a real point of pride because it was just one more brag point for undergraduate education for us, and often undergraduate research. But what I came away from in overseeing those nominations is that you must address significance of the faculty member's work, the impact the faculty member has had on students, particularly. It's got to have concrete evidence with both qualitative and quantitative data. Okay. And finally, it's got to tell a great story. Right. So I think back to the film Amistad when John Quincy Adams said, the person with the best story wins. And so sometimes those applications are really dry reading. And what we want is to see the heart, because CUR really is about the passion we have for undergraduate research and working with students in scholarly, creative, and research activities.
Well, I'm happy to hear that from you, Joyce, because recently I had someone approaching me about the Goldwater Award, and this person wanted to submit an application and didn't know exactly, what students she was going to ask the letter of support from. And I pretty much told her what you're saying, because she was thinking that perhaps, the applications or the letter of support needed to come from students who were doing a PhD program in the discipline in chemistry, and not these other students and I told her, reviewers like to see stories. Just the most impactful, just think carefully who you had the most impact with, and write an exciting story with that. Because otherwise, it's kind of like the average, In average, we all have all these students doing well, right? But what is the outstanding? What is the, the one that makes the reviewers exciting? The ones that are different, right? So it's important to think carefully. Mm-hmm.
Another thing you bring up here is that we often don't hear these great bragging stories from our colleagues or our students. And so it's really heartening to have that process. I once said that the gold in Goldwater is about the process of application.
Yes.
So we never want to underestimate the personal and professional development we get simply by going through the process.
Right.
Excellent, guys. That's good. Coming up. How are we doing on time, Lindsay?
We have about 7 or so minutes. I will say I just responded to Ashley personally, but she had a great question about the timing of awards, right? And sometimes it doesn't meet your timing or your students' timing. The CUR Council is currently working on a review holistically of CUR divisional awards, and they are considering all of these pieces of timing. The timing isn't right for anybody when you have to have deadline-driven things. So no, it's something that they are considering, they are focusing on. It is part of the review committees for all of our awards that at the end of each cycle, they do an evaluation, right? How many applications came in? Was there any feedback from the community? Do we need to reconsider timing? Sometimes we make some tweaks, sometimes we decide to move forward. But that is one of the things we are aware of, is especially around travel awards. It's quite sticky, right? Because it might not align with where your travel works out. I know for most divisions, they are incredibly flexible around those places. So if you have questions, do ask, right? Say, oh, this fell out by a month or 2 months. Would the committee still consider it? So do reach out to the national office at cur.org, and we will converse with the division, see if there's flexibility, see if there's the possibility of extended timelines. I can't always promise it, but we do try and support you all as best we can. But do know that they are taking a holistic look at all of those timelines, and will likely impact next year's awards.
Okay.
And I could say for divisional awards, each division will have different priorities, right? So it is important to learn the priorities of the CUR divisions. And let's say
I think
Oh,
you're frozen.
you lost Sylvia.
Oh,
Are you back, Sylvia?
I'm here actually. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you
hear you
now.
now. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So, well, I was trying to say that it is important to learn the divisional priorities when you apply to an award for each division. I mean, for your division. I'm a chemist, and so I belong to the chemistry division for a long time. And my division historically awards individual one-on-one, mentoring in the lab, for undergraduate research. Other divisions, like, in the sciences, now they are really heavy on CURs, which is bringing research into the curriculum. And so maybe that will give you a better chance or a better position to get an award. But it's really important to learn the priorities, right? So then you can craft your application in a way that is well received.
Okay. Thanks, Sylvia. That was good. So we took care of the divisional awards. We spoke in details about the more national awards, the more competitive ones. For our audience, is there anything else that you want to add? Not necessarily questions, comments that can help us move forward in the future, improve, as Lindsay suggested, reviewing. Also, I put this to the panel. Any questions you would want to raise for the audience moving forward, or recommendation? Joyce, Corinne, Sylvia. Sylvia, and we hope you don't freeze again. So it's nice having you back.
I'm not, I'm in my office and I'm using just the land, line. It's not even Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Okay.
Or Lindsay, any other recommendation that we add to the end of this as far as the support offered by the national office, the generous support that's continually being offered by the national office?
Thank you, Ruth. Yeah, no, I think one of the benefits of this community is all of the excellent work, and we want to be here to help celebrate it. So, we like to work with awardees. We love to work with applicants to tell these stories. So, Todd is here on the line, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't feel award ready, there's other ways that you can help start practicing these storytelling opportunities, right? So we have the opportunity to highlight folks on our social media and in our community. And so if you're not quite ready for an award application yet, please do reach out to Todd, CUR@CUR.org. Myself will get you in touch with the right folks. But if you want to start practicing that storytelling about the excellence taking place on your campus, we would love to work with you on that. If you're not sure if you're ready for an award, staff certainly is working with our volunteers and our review committees, would be happy to talk to you about those applications. But the importance of celebrating these stories, I think is really critical. I don't remember which panelist shared, but it's not even just telling the story on your campus. Again, talking to your local and federal representatives about the excellence that is undergraduate education at your institution is critical. So if you have an awards application you've put together, continuing to tell that story to other audiences is incredibly powerful. So please consider doing that. And if you need support, again, in those places, directions, toolkits, CUR has them. If you're not sure where they are, staff would be happy to support you in that journey.